Would you love me if I was down?
Can I help you out?
Would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love for me, girl? It's easy, love me now. Would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love for me?
$6,700 a month, right? $6,700 a month in the state of New York City. You do the math.
Oh, I done the math. I've been in child support, bro. I went to jail for it. So
okay, cool. $6,700 a month, right?
$6,700 a month, right?
You're talking about a fourth lister. Hold on, wait, listen. You're talking about somebody that has problems with everybody. You can't just live in any neighborhood. $81K is not a substantial lot of money.
Hold on.
You can't just live anywhere.
And if he's contributing $6,700, that means your mom's got the other half. It ain't just for him to take care of you.
Outside, the boy looked just like you. They a lot of people from the outside think that situation is sad. The child can't come.
Yeah, it is sad. It's a sad situation, right? And when you pray for success, you don't necessarily pray for the things that come with it, right? And there's no such thing as success without jealousy, without envy, or entitlement. Entitlement is growing in someone you love in the scariest part, right? And his mom developed an entitlement that cannot be met.
50 and Marquise have a classic case of deeply rooted trauma. And that deeply rooted trauma more so comes through 50 Cent and is inherited by Marquise through his genetics. For y'all to better understand what I mean by that, y'all first have to take in the fact that 50 Cent grew up in a fatherless household. He grew up without a father. 50 Cent was born in 1975. His mother passed away in 1983. For 8 years, 50 had his mother, and he was the closest to her, as he has explained in multiple different interviews. And of course, his grandparents took him as their own, raised him, and beloved him. But at the end of the day, man, it still causes a lot of deeply rooted issues. Even though his mother passed, he still feels as though he's unwanted because he has another parent out there somewhere in the world, at least to his acknowledgement. Whether that parent has passed by the time that he starts to realize it or whatever, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the fact that he does have a parent out there, so deep down, he feels like he's unwanted. Now, hurt people hurt people. So whenever you carry that type of trauma around, you're a lot more prone to do that to your child. And the probability just increases whenever you add a woman in there that you feel is only there for monetary gain. Now, Marquise has gotten the bad end of the stick, but I want y'all to pause that just for a slight second because there's a situation that popped out, $6,700 a month, right? And Marquise posted entitled and money on the ground on Instagram. Then he says, Since y'all think 6,700 is so much money, someone tell my pops I will pay him 6,700 for just 24 hours of his time, so we can do everything I ever wanted to do with him as a kid. Red, yellow, green, whatever color he liked, with the laughing emojis. Of course, you know he inherited that troll-like gene from his dad, the king troll. And Lil Meech came out and gave his opinion, and I showed y'all that. I'll take 5 over there myself. I might even play some games with you. You mention mine, you mentioning me. Now today, this man Marquise popped out with the front cover of his father's hit series, Power, Book 3. Raising Marquise, he put on the front of it. Then captioned it. Nah, who made this? I'm not stupid. I went to private school, remember? My pops don't be entitled to your feelings. I don't need not $1 from you. And if you need me to promote your show, just say that. Somebody tell STARTZ I got a story to tell. We know what the people want to see. Red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. Hashtag, it's in my blood. So the man is feeling like he ready to troll and speak out about this. But regardless of the fact, as a young man, until you learn how to deal with this trauma, you will experience it for a very long time. Now 50 has developed disdain for his son due to the fact that his baby mother has had so much influence in raising a child who's grown to resent 50 Cent. She taught the young man his whole life, your father is rich. You should be well off. You deserve whatever you want. Your father has it. These are his words. Just listen.
Filtering that energy through his actual personal interests. Let's say now that he's starting to like females, he's conscious of what kind of shoes he want to wear. I need these Jordans, the retro Jordans is coming, different things. And then his mother go, all right, I'll get them for you, but it just bothers me because you're supposed to have them all. So while being a privileged child, he feels deprived. When you had everything I didn't have.
And see, now 50 feels as though you are a privileged child. You had everything. How can you complain about being deprived and not being taken care of to the full extent of what I have the capability to do?
I can tell you how much my kids cost. In New York State, 1.360.
Now I know what y'all thinking. 50, you are extremely rich. You could have gave him more. But what y'all gotta understand is 50 was raised by his grandparents. And if y'all have never been around grandparents, grandparents are usually very, very reluctant to purchase the high dollar fashions for you. They feel as though all you need is just a regular pair of shoes, clothes, jeans, or whatever, and you good. So over time, being raised in that atmosphere, 50 has developed that mentality for his own child. He feels as though I got out and went to go get my own. Now you need to get out and go get your own. I'm not gonna spoil you by giving you the world. Be a man, stand up and figure it out. And I would say there is some honor in that. He's trying to teach his son honor and how to be a man. It's a lesson in disguise, honestly. But don't get me wrong, there is the flip side that you got to take into account here, which is the fact that his baby mother felt so entitled that 50 felt he needed to remove himself from the entire equation. So that in return made 50 develop an attitude of, I'm going to do the bare minimum. You take me to court, you're going to get only that child support, and that is it.
You see what I'm saying? And I don't have an issue with paying the support fund. The reason why I'm the way I am, with those kind of situations, I pay my support that year that the baby's born. Move the money to the account, let it, and it automatically disperses a certain amount of money per each month.
This is also a classic case of two parents resenting each other, and that being passed down to the child as well. Now 50 feels as though he resents his baby mother because she showed her true colors once she got pregnant. She showed that she was not the woman that she was before. So fellas, y'all always got to pay attention to the little king signs and details that a woman gives. Then on the woman's side, she feels as though since he left, Since his providing has walked out the door, she's going to utilize everything that she has at her disposal to attack him financially, emotionally, and everything else. She's going to use his child, she's going to use the government, and she's going to use the media.
So with him, I noticed over the years like it developed, because I blamed it on his mom for a long time. But it's not his mother, it's him. Like I've gone places where he was at, he left.
Don't get me wrong, I do believe those are 50's true feelings at this point. But 50 is also cognizant of the fact that Marquise grew up in a household where he was taught everything in life that he couldn't have was because of his father. So it's still a fight with his baby mother.
50, you love your son?
I used to. You ask yourself how long, a complicated question would say, how long can you love something that don't love you back? You see, so in this experience, you look and you say, I didn't think success would cost me my firstborn.
Fellas, watch what you say. When you get in front of that camera, a lot of stuff can't be taken back. Those are scars that will last for a lifetime. Maybe this is the truth from 50, maybe not. But honestly, something is just telling me that this is a jab, a way to try to hit his son where it hurts. And that's not good.
But it's the situation. It's like my grandfather would say, if rather like a snake, if it's slither like a snake, is it a snake or do you need to be bit? Right? And that's the Aiken, South Carolina, and just the country, she'll say. And what he keeps saying is every time you see the boy, he's show up with somebody you got a problem with. What does that take?
They say it's a thin line between love and hate. And hate is a very, very strong word. But like I told y'all before, remember the fact that he feels abandoned. He has abandonment issues. So for him, it's easy to hate a person. It's easy to cut somebody off because he never allows anyone to get that close.
People will always try to make relationships on a common bond of disliking someone. Like, be friends with you because your enemy is my enemy.
Yeah.
And he sees himself that way. To the extent where he's actually taking pictures with Preem's son or doing different things that, and you go, well, I'm like, I don't even understand where your motivation comes from.
Yeah, you do, 50. It comes from his mother. It comes from your actions. You know exactly where it comes from. You were not there. You were absent physically. Maybe not financially, but you were absent physically. His mother convinced him that you were absent financially and just flat out not there. So he has developed this I'm going to get you back mentality. It's a rebellious mentality. And that's where it comes from. You understand this? It's him rebelling. He's still a child begging for his dad. He's going to feel like that for a very long time till he learns how to deal with that issue. It's trauma. That's all it is, man.
Can you excuse any of that because of how young he is?
No, he's 23 years old, 24 years old. It's not a baby no more. It's a grown man. See, I look at you as you grown, your decisions that you make as you start to pass what they would have did to us. They would have charged me like an adult at 15. So at 23, it's like you grown in my head. My homeboys, they had their babies at 15. At that point in the neighborhood, that was when you actually got into, we started to
There you go. 50 does not identify the fact that his son is not mentally mature enough yet. His son did not receive that discipline that everyone needs to grow, especially a man. A man needs discipline. That's why a man truly needs his father. A man without discipline becomes overly emotional. You see him do outlandish things like this and overreact on the internet and make an embarrassment of himself. He made an embarrassment of you, of your name, of y'all's name. When in fact, if he had actual discipline, he could have grew older and tried to mend a relationship with you and, figure out what the situation was from both sides. That's what an adult does. But instead, he was raised by an immature young woman who taught him to be angry towards you. And that's just what it is, man. But like I said, man, y'all gotta understand that 50 was raised by elderly people. And when we talking about that generation, they are more so straightforward. Ain't no beating around the bush. Once you wrong them, they will cut you off. They only know how to operate in a certain mannerism. And that's just being, real men. A grandfather that comes from that generation is not going to take any BS. But 50 took that and mixed it in with the traumas that he already had and learned how to, cut people off. And that was his way of hiding from situations that he didn't want to deal with. Now, this was a situation that he didn't want to deal with. So he decided, I'll just give you my money and get away. That's another thing that he learned as soon as he started to accumulate wealth. But 50, this is a situation you have to deal with sooner or later, regardless of how old he is. That's your seed. You don't have the opportunity to just cut him off. You got to address this. We can't all be happy with the way that our kids come up, the way that you imagine your kids to be when you was younger. Hey, things change, they happen. But you have to accept what the outcome is, especially if you didn't take the time and the effort that it took necessary to raise this young man. You have to accept him for what he is. There is no time frame when you can feel like, man, I'm just done. I hate you. What you do is, you can fall back. That is perfectly fine. You fall back. You give him the opportunity to try to reach out to you. Whenever he does, you don't put that wall up and block him out. You let him know that I welcome you with open arms. You are my child. Whenever you mature and you're ready to sit down and have this conversation and hear me out for what I did and my reasons, then we'll do that. But as a man, you have to learn that. Stop hiding behind this wall of a child. If I'm just gonna cut you off and not deal with it, that's a child's mentality. Come on, 50. It's time to grow up and understand what you're dealing with here. And that's a big problem when we talking about black folks as a whole. There's a lot of deeply rooted traumas that we don't deal with, And I'm just speaking from experience, man, because I'm a black man who was raised without a father as well. But I learned how to deal with my own traumas. Now, I did have a stepfather who was extremely involved in teaching us discipline and how to be a man. But at the end of the day, man, it's still always going to be that you're not my dad mentality there. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing like your real father. But the resources are out there to learn how to eradicate those thought process out of your mentality, how to grow and become a man. At 50, you might have it financially. You might have all the clout and attention. But mentally, as a man, you're not there yet. Until you learn to deal with the traumas that you've developed from a child. And it's easier said than done. But best case scenario, you and your son can at least be on speaking standards. You gotta mend that relationship, bro. That is a bad blemish on your image overall. And it ain't even about image, but family is the only thing you'll have at the end of the day, man. And life has a funny way of coming full circle. So eventually, as much as your son is crying out for help from you, because that's all this is a cry for help, you'll be doing the same thing to him in the end. His mother may have created this reflection of herself inside of him, reflecting the way that she feels towards you, onto you, through him. But see, the thing about children is, and he still has that innocence inside of him, man, because we all carry it around, man. That's what creates the trauma. But that is also the way that you can mend that relationship, man. Because, hey, that innocence keeps, your child blaming themselves. It's like, why don't you want me? I want to know why you don't want me. I can do better. What do you need me to do to change who I am? That way I can do better. That way you can accept me. Because you're living with it. coming from a fatherless household. Deep down somewhere, even though you might hide that away, you will always feel like, why didn't my father want me? Look at me now, I'm a good man. Then you start to bury yourself in money and possessions and material and, growing a bigger and bigger family if you can't accumulate, the wealth of the world. You start to try to, bury yourself in things. That way you can feel like you have this false sense of acceptance. But at the end of the day, man, it's just trauma that you need to deal with. Not all of us get that opportunity, man. So at least give your son the opportunity that you did not have. Show him that it was not him. Show him that y'all can at least, like I said, at the very least, be on speaking terms. Because, hey, we all make errors, but an error can be fixed. But don't allow your errors to become mistakes. A mistake can never be fixed, regardless of what y'all say. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about this, and I'm out.